I saw a movie, so you didn't have to. And let me tell you, when it comes to the ghost with the most, Beetlejuice, oh, gotta be careful how many times you say that, this film may actually be worth it. Let's go! So first and foremost, you may have to be quite a bit familiar with this particular set of characters. And while they do add some original ones in, characters that you don't know, they also kind of lean into the quirkiness that is Beetlejuice. If you have not seen the original, you might need to get used to what's going on. And I'm going to be straightforward about this. Everybody in here does a great job with their character. The acting's incredible. The story is, well, mostly linear in a way that's appreciated, but there are some moments when some people may get lost. We'll talk more about that in a second, but when you walk into this world, it is just as zany and wild as ever, and it's all, well, almost all practical effects. I appreciated every aspect of that because it's kind of what sold the original film. There wasn't a lot of hokey in it that wasn't done physically. And there's still the stop motion animation. There's still that aesthetic of old Tim Burton. And it just feels good being back in this unique world. I'll say this much. Jenna Ortega does a great job at playing Lydia Dietz's daughter, Astrid. And Astrid has her own character arc and most surprising moments in the film. In fact, there is a tragedy that brings them all together, and then another tragedy that happens in the film towards the end. No matter what it is, the family comes back together in a very unique way. There's also the addition of Monica Bellucci's character, who I think is extraordinary. Her name is Dolores, and she's something special. She's a bit of a soul eater, for lack of a better way to say it. I think they use soul sucker at points in time, but she's interesting, a real man killer, so to speak. And when you walk into this world, you're kind of expecting anything to happen, but the beginning of the movie is rather ordinary. You have a struggle between a mother and a daughter and a stepmother. I mean, all of these different things. And there's this weird sense of connectedness that you don't really understand until about halfway or 3/4 of the way into the movie. There are a few points that will disconnect people. Well, they won't feel like this is the same world they're returning to. I mean, after all, it's current year, so there's an occasional mention of current year bologna sausage, if you understand my meaning. References to some climate stuff and some things like that, but none of the other off-putting things that would bother anybody. And also, this is a quick reminder that this film was driven by a woman to begin with, so there's none of that it's out of place, like, you know, chick taking over for a dude moment. I gotta say, Michael Keaton has not missed a beat. He is this character, and I just wished he'd shown up sooner. Why? Because that's the one thing that I think is going to be off-putting to people. Not just, you know, the random current year mentioning, right, that really is unobtrusive, for lack of a better way to say it, easily ignored. But there's the fact that it takes too long for us to get into seeing Beetlejuice. And I think that will be the disconnect point for some people. I really hope not. But every new character they entered into play, every character that is returning, and one that's a little bit surprising and how they did it was pretty genius. I think you'll figure that one out when you're watching the film. I thought that was a really neat way to honor that character on the way out the door. And of course, you know, the Maitlands have already returned. They've moved forward. They've moved on. They found a loophole to get to the great beyond. And there's other ways to get to the great beyond that we find out in this film. Overall, I would say that from point A to point B, you get somewhere you want to go. And this film is purely enjoyment for the sake of enjoyment. There's a lot of escapism. There's so much to this world that we didn't understand. And there's also a lot of evil. The evil is unexpected, and it shows up in a way that maybe, unless you've read the plot points, you wouldn't have seen coming. Ultimately, it's all about the escape, and for almost 2 hours, you're going to escape this world. I have the feeling that a lot of people will find joy in the same world. But if you are somebody that's unfamiliar with the first film, if you haven't seen it in a while, you may want to do that tiny little bit of homework and treat yourself to that energy once again, because you're going to get a full dose of it this time around. And look, in the third act, everything is completely bonker sauce and super fun. I would tell you that those moments are worth waiting for, because by the time you get to this one scene in particular, the absurdity and the hilarity has ramped up to the absolute level. The trickster demon known as Beetlejuice, I've said it twice now, has, well, really outdone himself towards the end of the film. Also, interestingly enough, Willem Dafoe's character is delightful, wonderful way to, emerge in this film in the way that he did. And man, there isn't anybody in here that isn't pulling their weight. I think Jenna Ortega is going to be the next Hollywood it girl, and I think we probably all saw that coming. And while you probably are expecting Wednesday to show up, that's not who shows up in this film. It's an entirely different character with a different set of angst and motivations. And what's wonderful is that from point A to point V, her relationship with her mother, Lydia, who we all love, kind of just goes to the next level. And I think they absolutely deserve that resolution. In fact, there's a lot of closure in this film, and I will believe Tim Burton, Michael Keaton, and everybody else that this is it. There's no more coming. So you got one, you got two, and you're not going to risk saying that name for a third time because, well, just be careful. Once again, don't want the trickster demon to show up. So let's get down to brass tacks. What did I rate the film? Okay, this may surprise you because of all the positive things I've said, but look, I'm not IGN. I'm not going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7.5, maybe an 8. And I am going to have to sleep on this one, folks. So when you're seeing this video, it will be Friday morning, and I'll be probably halfway to, what I really feel. But I haven't really been adjusting my opinion a lot lately. So just let's say this is a 7.5 on its way to an 8. And if it gets to an 8, I'll let you know. But it had everything that you need in a film, except it's going to lose some people who aren't familiar with this world right at the beginning. Eventually, you'll figure it out. That you don't have to see the first one to enjoy this, but it's going to be a fight to kind of figure out what is happening or what's been going on. The story so far is something that you probably needed for this one. And of course, if you are interested in the 5-star system, which is something that, I really do prefer, I'm gonna go with 3 3/4 stars. Okay, just to keep the things consistent. It really is so close to a 4-star. That's why I like the 4-star system, because it's easier for me to say 4 stars on this film and kind of convey that it should eventually level up to an 8. I think over time we will appreciate this film more and more. And the performance of Keaton, of course, is top notch. And some old character favorites are going to show up in here, and you're just going to love it. You're going to love everything that's happened in the in-between place, and you're really going to love another reference to the Handbook for the Recently Departed. What is the other thing that's odd? The moments that you remember from the original film and the waiting room and everything else are just taken up to the next level as well. So if you like reviews like this, please let me know down in the comments section below. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, well, please hit that little red button. It's free, and you get reviews like this on most of the major movies coming out, so you know whether or not to spend your money, because I saw a movie, so you didn't have to. But don't fear going to this film. You probably will have a good time. Oh, and as far as age appropriateness, and I usually try to mention this when there's a chance that kids will go to the film, I think your teenagers will be fine. Anything from 10 to 12 will be a your call moment, but anything from 13 up, I think you're going to have a child that is going to be relatively happy and entertained. So not a lot of bad words happen here, and not a lot of not extremely kooky violence happens either. It will get people ready for Halloween at the very least. But on that note, once again, hit that thumbs up button, share the video out there. That really does help. I know people say that, but if you have social media, take the extra time, hit the share button, send it off to all the things that you participate in. And yeah, that's it. Do all the YouTube things. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya!